G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. Obviously, Shaun Johnson announced his retirement the other day, and we haven't really had a chance to sit behind the mic and give our live reaction to it. It happened just after we'd finished Bloke in a Bar the other day, so we weren't able to sink our teeth into it there. Been a big few days of Supercoach and everything since then, and just wanted to take a few days to let it all settle in before I do give my reaction to Shaun Johnson's retirement call. Obviously, guys, today's episode is brought to you by Neds, our official partner for season 2024. You can follow along with all my bets and all the About Even Boys bets every single week on the Neds app. Make sure you download that and go check it out. We're going to get stuck into our live reaction to Shaun Johnson's retirement decision. We're going to also get our good mate Jackson from the New Zealand Warriors on the dog and bone in a couple of minutes just to go through the day and how it all played out for the Warriors, because I think that's super interesting. You got to remember, you know, it was only 3 or 4 days ago the social media team was making posts about SJ being back, he's back, all this sort of stuff when he returned from injury. And then only 2 or 3 days later, he'd announced that his career had come to an end. So pretty wild little turn of events there for Shaun Johnson and the New Zealand Warriors. And obviously it's been a big question mark all season about whether SJ would be there next year, what the plan is after. I know that at the moment the Warriors, I think they've got a slightly better record without him, but I think that it's very evident when you watch them play their footy, especially from a kicking game perspective, just how much they're going to miss SJ. And just as a person in our game, it's just hard to find someone that tops SJ. He has just been such a brilliant character for so long, and I know that, you know, when I was a teenager and stuff and sort of in my early 20s, like watching SJ was just the absolute must-watch event every single week. Such just an entertainment machine. And I love the way that SJ's gone about his career in that you always have guys that, you know, they come through their career and they try and be these guys. They watch tapes of these fellas and they try and emulate what their heroes did. SJ was just his own player. He just did it his way and he never really changed. There was injuries late in his career that forced him to sort of change his game a little bit. But for a number of years, he copped a lot of criticism throughout the years and whatnot. And there was ups and downs and all that sort of stuff. But I think he's one of the more influential players we've ever seen in that his style of play hadn't really been utilised like that in the NRL before. And, you know, obviously like Benji came before him who also played that sort of style. But I just felt like SJ just took it to a new level. I think the other thing with SJ that obviously when he was sort of in the early parts of his career, but sort of at his peak of his powers, we had the NRL 9s come in, which I always absolutely loved watching. And SJ, he was always the headline event of those as well. Had some huge moments throughout his career, SJ, when I look back, obviously last year, that incredible run, getting the Wires all the way to the finals. And I think it's still, like, I think the impact of 2023 is going to be felt for a long time over there in New Zealand. You know, the Up the Wires movement was just unbelievable. And SJ, he was front and center of that. And honestly, at the start of that season, I thought SJ would retire. I wasn't convinced SJ would be in the side in the 17 the entire season. He almost wins a Dally M. Incredible stuff. You look back, I always look back to that. I think it was a semi-final against England. I think it was over there. And SJ, I think it's George Burgess shoots out of the line. He just puts the big step on him, goes through, scores an incredible try. You obviously had that try against the Cronulla Sharks that night, or SJ at Shark Park in that black, you know, grey and red jersey, just went bang, 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 left him for dead and scored. An unbelievable moment to win that game. You obviously had that period for New Zealand where he caused the huge upset against the Kangaroos, some brilliant cutout balls he was throwing that night. You go back to that try that he scored against the Broncos all the way back in, what was that, 2011? A moment I'll never forget. And for me, though, the biggest moment with SJ that always stands out for me is, I think it's the 2011, and it's either the prelim final against the Melbourne Storm or the game before that. He gets the ball down the left edge and he turns it under, and you just see Cooper Cronk just get completely lost. And it's not very often you see Cooper Cronk just get turned inside out and left for dead. He shows under, he puts the ball in a blind spot, then he goes into contact, gets the ball away, and I think it's Louis Brown, shout out to him, he's just around the corner down here, who scores the try. But I just remember that moment going, fuck, this kid just bamboozled Cooper Cronk, one of the best players in rugby league. Just incredible stuff. Some of the highlights SJ had and some of the individual tries that he scored, phenomenal stuff. They obviously went all the way to the 2011 grand final. Didn't win that game, but at the age SJ was at, that was just crazy. He's a Golden Boot winner. He's been the face of the Warriors for a long time. He came over to the Sharkies, went back. And to see the impact he's had on New Zealand Rugby League and the Warriors over the last couple of years, it is just a total compliment to SJ. I think on top of that, I don't recall any sort of off-field drama with SJ, anything like that. I remember that when he finished a game in 2020, I think it was in the end of round 2, he just finished, and we'd got the news at halftime or whatever at the back end of that game that the NRL was going into the bubble, and Fox or Nine or whoever it was, they shoved a microphone in SJ's face and told him the news live, and he had to react to it. And I could imagine the emotions that were going through SJ's mind at that time, where he's talking about, obviously he's going to have to move away from his family. I believe his wife might have been pregnant at that point, going to have to move away from New Zealand, move to Brisbane for the foreseeable future, living in a bubble. There's just so many little things that would have been running through his mind. And if you go back and watch that interview, he just handled himself like an absolute champion. And there's probably only a handful of guys. It sucked that SJ was put in that position in that moment. But in our game, there's only a handful of guys that I would have been happy to see handle that moment. SJ is one of them. DCE is probably another. Just an incredible human being, SJ. An incredible human being who's obviously a great footballer, one of the most entertaining guys we've ever seen. But yeah, really going to miss SJ. For those of you out there that are Supercoach players, he's obviously been a big hitter for quite some time. That sort of guy that can just drop 150 on anyone's head at any given moment, especially when you got good matchups and whatnot coming his way, games in New Zealand. SJ was just always so entertaining and always a bit of the wild card. I think that was the beauty of SJ, and it's sort of been the Warriors and their brand for quite some time, is that, on their day, they can absolutely destroy you. And on SJ's day, you pretty much can't defend him. He's just so unorthodox in what he does. The side steps, the vision, the speed. Took a lot of intercepts in the early parts of his career as well. I think he took a big intercept against the Kangaroos one night as well, and took it all the way to the house. Just an incredible player, SJ, and a guy as well, not, the greatest defender in the world, but he never hit away from contact as well, which I think was the big concern with guys like Benji and Shaun Johnson coming into the NRL was, okay, you can do all this shit with the ball, but defensively, are you going to show a jersey? Are you going to stand up? And once again, SJ isn't, Luke Ricketson or anything like that, but he always showed a jersey. He was never hiding away from the tough stuff, SJ. A guy that I've always really appreciated. It's going to be sad to see him go, but honestly, I thought 2 years ago, he was probably going to fade out, and he's come back. He's had that incredible season last year. We've now got a few weeks to know that SJ, his career is coming to an end. I don't think the Warriors play finals this year. I think it's incredibly unlikely, but we get to just sit back and enjoy SJ for the next few weeks, which is going to be super exciting. I'm going to try and get Jackson on the phone now, try and get a hold of him and have a chat to him. Obviously, Jackson used to be with YKTR. He's now working over there at the New Zealand Warriors, and if you have a look at the New Zealand Warriors and their social media game over the last 2 years, a lot of this comes down to Jackson and Logan. They've just, in my opinion, they've kind of changed the game for social media NRL. They've just taken it to a new level, and it's been tremendous. And Jackson, a good mate of mine, when I went over to New Zealand a few weeks ago, spent the day with him over there. He sort of set the whole thing up, to be completely honest with you. A champion fellow. I'm very keen to get on the dog and bone and have a chat about how this all played out the other day. So we'll get the live perspective from Jacko here.
Hey, brother, how are you?
I'm good, mate. You're live on the Guru podcast. How are you?
Oh, this is good. I got nervous when you said that. Yeah, no, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Bright light stuff.
Yeah, this is big time for me. This is the dizzy heights of rugby league content. This is right up there, mate. So my origin moment, if you will. I'm very excited.
Love that. Now, mate, I won't take you up for too long, but we've just been talking on the podcast about SJ and his incredible career, going through all the highlights. And just for me, mate, the big thing that stands out about SJ is not so much like the achievements and all that. It's just the influence he's had that, there was a big belief at the start of SJ's career that, guys like him couldn't really make it in the NRL realistically. And the thing that I love most about Benji, mate, and, you would see it day to day, you see all these halves come into rugby league that all want to be Joey, Ricky Stewart, Langer, Stacey Jones. What I love is that SJ, he just always wanted to be SJ. And he never really moved away from that, essentially until the back end of his career where his body almost forced him to. I just love that SJ, he's probably one of the most honest footballers I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, mate, look, it's been a wild, I guess, 72 hours at HQ. But, I can only speak about Shaun kind of as a fan, which I guess is the whole point of this podcast and what you do, bro, is analysis from the couch, for lack of a better term. And, bro, like, his impact on not only the Warriors as a club, but you touched on it then, bro, New Zealand Rugby League and New Zealand sport. I mean, those touch highlights, bro, and I know you posted them and, everyone has a laugh every time they come up. But, like, that's one of those, the streets will never forget moments. That's right up there with, it crossed into pop culture. That was on, House of Highlights and Sports Centre. Shaun Johnson's touch highlights, kind of, the legend was so grand that it was almost like, how could a footballer ever live up to this? And, mate, he did that and then some. I'm a Warriors. Obviously, I work at the club now, which is a dream come true for me. But that's my club. Like, that's who I've grown up with since I was 5 years old. My dad took me there, and it seems unfair to rank players. And for me, it's sort of like the Michael Jordan versus LeBron thing. No one to me will ever do what Stacey did. I feel like Stacey's the greatest Warrior of all time. People argue Simon Mannering, and he was a warrior in the truest sense of the word. Just a war horse who knocked up 300 games and just epitomised kind of the club through a really hard period. Simon was that dude. Mate, no player in rugby league history made me jump up off my couch and carry on more than Shaun.
Yeah.
Like, he gave us as fans more of those holy shit moments than Stacey or Simon or Manu or Jerome Ropati, kind of insert player. No one made us jump off our feet and scream more than Shaun Johnson. And our CEO had some words during his retirement, which was kind of, he inspired a generation of kids to pick up a footy, and he really did, mate. Shaun proved that you can do it your way. He wasn't a cookie cutter half. He's not a cookie cutter rugby league player, mate. Like, he doesn't. If you think about a quintessential or a stereotypical footy player who loves a beer and loves to, talk shit with the boys and has a punt and smacks a palmy on his day off, like, mate, Shaun's always had his mates away from football. He's very close with his family. He's super articulate. He has his interests. He's really unconventional in life as much as he was as a footballer. And I just think, there'll never be another Shaun Johnson, bro. There'll be the next. And, we see whether it's Keanu Kinney or Chanel Harris-Tavita and Sam Walker, I kind of liken to Shaun as well, and guys that come in and they have the confidence to go about it their way. And he did it at a time when, like you said, the game was pretty slow, and the guys at the top were Cooper Cronk and JT and these rather orthodox halves. Like, Shaun came in, stepping and spinning around on a top, and no one could touch him, and everyone went, oh, hang on, you can be skinny, rapid, and play off the cuff, and it works. That 2011 charge to a GF will never be forgotten. I'm so proud of him and glad as a fan that he got last year, and he got to lead that wave. That was really important for Shaun's legacy in rugby league, and whatever's happened this year has happened, but I think fans will always remember the North Coast hot stepper and those touch highlights right through to what he did last year, and that iconic shot where he scored under the bin against the Doggies at home and lifts them up and he's flexing the biceps. Like, that's immortalised for us, bro. And we say it all the time that, it's our year. That's kind of the Warriors catchphrase, but 2023 was Shaun's year, bro. And I'm glad that he got to go out on his terms, and he's certainly a player that will have a lasting impact at not just this club, but rugby league in this country.
Mate, it was interesting what you said there, and I just mentioned on the podcast a few minutes ago, for me, the moment that I'll never forget was Shaun Johnson. As you said, he came into this game and, like, Cooper Cronk was the guy and whatnot, and that game in 2011, I think it was the prelim final where he turned someone under and the ball was in a blind spot, and, mate, honestly, it's the only 3 seconds of Cooper Cronk's career that I think he genuinely had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, mate. Kevy Proctor's still spinning around. I don't think he's recovered from that. Bro, and that's just one of. I mean, it's a fun little argument, but is there a player with a better highlight reel? Like, I know GI was a joke, and some of those Jared Hayne, Benny Barber seasons, even Turbo, 21 Turbo. But mate, like, over the breadth of 14 years, no one's had more of those jaw-dropping, how the fuck did he pull that off moments. One for me is. It's against Cronulla, and the great Ryan Hoffman charges a kick down. We race up the other end of the field. There's 40 seconds to go. They spin the ball to the right, and it becomes under 10s. And so much of Shaun's career has become, and it's also been, sometimes to his detriment, but it's throw the ball to Shaun and he'll do something.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, 9 times out of 10 he did, mate. And that's what, in those moments when unfortunately he couldn't pull a rabbit out of hat, that's where the criticism came from, which it's just so unfair. But that Cronulla one where he goes off his left, and they can't touch him. Andrew Voss loses the plot. Like, there's the golden try against Penrith at Mount Smart when he shapes the drop goal. He does Moiser a beauty and then scoots in. You know, I mean, you name it. The thing that, at the height of my fandom when I was a plucky 17, 18-year-old, was the Auckland Nines. And I know people sort of scoff at the Nines now and kind of what it became. I think the NRL really missed a trick with it by, I don't want to say forcing players to have a crack, but incentivising teams to send their best, because those first years, it was intercept or whatever in front of the packed Eden Park. Mate, that was the Shaun Johnson show. We all turned up to watch him and Sam Tompkins in tandem, and he had the pressure of the rugby league world on him. Oh, Nines is Shaun's game. It's Shaun's game. Watch him cook. Mate, anything less than a 9.9 out of 10, he was going to get grilled, and he put on an 11. Like, he was on fire. I think the Cowboys did us in the semi from memory, but it didn't matter. Like, what he did in that Raiders game, everyone was packed. He had 50,000 there screaming. He was in that disgusting highlighted blue jersey, but that's beyond the point. Shout out to Canterbury. But yeah, it's so many moments, man, where we get now, like, the cool thing about, I guess, him retiring, or rather announcing his retirement with 4 or 5 weeks to go, is we get plenty of time to lap this up, and he deserves a farewell tour. And I know Shaun doesn't want that. You know, he was pretty clear, like, hey, boys, I want to do this my way. I want to tell my boys it was on front of my family and then just play with a smile on my face. But unfortunately, the content pig in me, and Guru, you'd appreciate that. I'm going to milk this for all it's worth, bro. For the next 5 weeks, you are going to get SJ highlights and moments jammed down your throat. And, I think there'd be pretty few rugby league fans who will oppose it, to be honest.
Oh, mate, people are going to absolutely love it. It's so funny. Like, I brought up the Auckland Nines as well, that I think that for a guy like SJ to be playing at the peak of his powers at a time where a competition like that came in, like, Christ, it was entertaining. Like, I remember sitting through those days, and you were just waiting for the Warriors to play. You were waiting for SJ to play.
Yeah, no, he was a joke at that tournament, bro. And I'm really disappointed that it fell away a little bit, because Shaun always speaks about how, he's obviously he's had himself, 250 game plus NRL career, but he always said if there was a professional line that he could have pursued touch rugby, he probably would have done that. He really liked the skill of touch, and then the space that Nines allowed him. He was just a pig in shit, mate. And had that really kicked on and become kind of what, if you think what rugby sevens is to rugby, if it had really become a global, or certainly a rugby league international jewel in the crown, I guess, mate, he'd be even bigger than he is now, because that game just suited him to an absolute T. The double, what was it? It was like the 8-point try zone or whatever.
Yeah,
Out under the post. All the kind of pageantry and fanfare of that, like, he was it, mate. And it's kind of one of my deep rugby league regrets, is that they missed the trick on the Nines. It's one of those ones that you can't really bring it back now. You kind of had your moment in time, and it was this amazing flash in the pan that they didn't capitalise on, but he certainly did. And like I said, mate, the streets will never forget. That was some of the most, sideways, beer spilling over your mate's moments ever. Especially that, I remember that Canberra game in particular, where, bless his heart, Jared Croker, mate, he didn't know what the fuck was happening. He got dusted up 4 times. Every time Shaun was running that sort of like double bow shape with Sammy Tompkins, and in Nines, when you got double spacing, mate, I don't care if you're fucking Prime Critter or Matt Cooper, like, no one shut him down. He was too strong, he was too quick, he was too powerful, he played with too much instinct. And I know that, at this point in his career, he's very controlled, and we saw that last year, what he can do as a more established half. But don't get it twisted, man. There's still, the boys will go to training tomorrow. They'll do a bit of an opposed session, and if he wants to pull it out of the kit bag, he's still got it. Like, the old fella can still do it. So you ask the great Luke Metcalf if Shaun still got it, and he goes, mate, I don't care whether he's 33 or 73. I still shit myself if I get caught flat-footed with Shawnee. So he's a legend, mate. He's an icon of our club, and certainly going to be a hard one to replace, that's for sure.
Mate, just give us a little peek behind the curtain, because, I mean, it was only 4 days ago you were making social media posts saying he's back in first grade, and then all of a sudden you're making retirement posts. Did you guys sort of see this coming, or did it sort of happen suddenly? How did the day sort of play out?
Yeah, I can tell you just from my perspective, bro. Like, Shaun's a very private guy. He's a colleague, and obviously I'm a massive fan. But Shaun and I don't have the sort of day-to-day text, hey, how you feeling relationship. But I knew that he had that there was the club wanted to keep him on, and those talks were ongoing. And we were, as a department, we were preparing for the former, I guess, for him to kick on again and go around and run us out in Las Vegas and do all that. But I knew that he had conversations internally between Webby and his family and stuff about, I want to see how I do and how I get through this Parramatta game. He said as much on his podcast. He was really using the game as an indicator to see how he felt, and it just the performance was what it was. I actually thought he played all right in an otherwise pretty disappointing team performance, Roo. But he just come that Saturday morning, Sunday. He made the call on Sunday morning, but it just was time, mate. He sat with it for a while. There's been a contract on the table for a while, and he said it at media the other day. For the first time in his 14-year career, when the contract gets pushed across the table, he wasn't fizzed.
Yeah.
Whereas last year, when we were having similar discussions and the club decided to extend him, he broke down. He was so excited and so happy and felt so validated. This time it comes and he starts looking around and, he's a very successful guy off the field, mate, and he's got other interests now, and he's got his Play On podcast, and he's in tight with the boys and various business ventures. He's, I know a lot of people say that players are family guys, mate. Shaun is the first one in the building to get his job done, the first one out so that he can get back to his kids. Like, he's just really excited for that part of his life. So there's not too much of a peek behind the curtain, mate. He really was all in on that Parramatta game and wanted to see how he pulled up. It wasn't how he hoped he would. And the first person he called was Andrew Webster, and we got cracking pretty quick and had to fly our videographer back from the Goldie on the red eye. But it was an honour to I guess capture that day for Shaun, and it was really important to us as a department and as a club that it was done on his terms, bro, and executed and told in his way. He really wanted to tell the playing group first, which I'm sure you can respect and acknowledge. The next thing he wanted to do was tell his family and his body crew, and he did that. And then you said, all right, let's roll it out as a collaborative social post, and which is a pretty untraditional way to do it. You think of the classic media release that goes out at 5 p.m. and then the journos get their hands on it. You know what I mean? Shaun wanted to do it on his terms, and thankfully we got the blessing of the club to do it that way, bro. So mixed emotion, because I had the glutton for Shaun Johnson content in me was like, come on, mate, just Las Vegas. Think about Las Vegas, But I'm sure that, this won't be the last time Warriors fans see Shaun. This is not a foreshadowing or anything. I don't know in what capacity he'll be back at the club, but you'd be insane to think he won't be in a polo holding a clipboard or something in the near future, bro, because he's just such a good person back around and such a presence every time he walks in a room, especially when he's wearing that Warriors polo, mate.
I'll tell you what, mate, you just mentioned there that obviously he decided to do the retirement sort of like via social media, and that's not the normal traditional way to do it. I am so confident that will be the normal way to do it in a few years' time, and I think it'll be. I actually think SJ might have set a bit of a new standard here, and you guys might have set a bit of a new standard here, probably as it should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's direct to fans, and that was important to him. He goes, mate, as much as the traditional approach is sweet, and we announced it at 5, it gets on the 6 o'clock news, and Braith and the boys can get at it. He was like, I've told the people I care about. He told his teammates. He told his family, and he goes, the next thing is, I want to tell the fans, and I want to do it. I don't want them to watch the 6:30 bulletin on Sports News or read it in the paper tomorrow. Like, I want to do it, So, and bro, like I'm not here trying to get a pay rise, but we had the support of our CEO, which helps, where he goes, mate, however Shaun wants to handle this, you boys just echo it. And thankfully Logan Dodds, who's our shooter, and Shaun, they go way back. They went to primary school together, which helps. So Doddsy stayed with him the night before. And as I understand, it was pretty emotional for Shaun that night, knowing what he was going to do in the morning. And you saw it by that little driving chat where he was really raw, bro, and just said, that he's content with the decision. That doesn't make it any easier, but it was really important to Shaun that he did it on his terms, bro, and it was important to the club too, because he certainly earned that right. And I mean, we said it, like, mate, Jazzy Tavanga announced that he's leaving the club on Adam Blair's potty. Like, I think players who have earned the right to control the narrative, they should. In fact, I think we should, period. So we're just a support for the boys and try and put the spotlight on them as best we can. And when it's time for them to make a major announcement like that, or they want to get something off their chest, and give us a call, boys, and we'll do it for you. So, it was a sad day, Root. It's been a sad week. I'm wiping tears away as I'm talking about the young fella, but I'm glad that he got to do it on his terms, bro. And don't worry about us, mate. The Warriors will be fine. We'll be back. Mathematically, we're still a sniff. So we'll pump the Dolphins this week, and then let the chips fall where they may. It may be a grand final. Who knows?
I love that, mate.
Hey, had a bit of Warriors propaganda to finish the point.
I love that, mate. I got one more question for you.
Certainly.
Mathematically, you can still make it. Let's say in a bizarro world, you're not going to make the finals. We've got potentially SJ's last game against the Sharkies in a few weeks' time, which is crazy how it's turned out because you guys have the bye in the last week. Are we a sniff at an SJ Cup or something?
Oh, mate, however we make it happen, we're going to make it happen. And whether Cronulla want to come to the party or not, we'll be making it happen. It's one of those weird games where, poetically, it's also Adam's last game for the club against the club he's going to. So there's a number of I guess, storylines going into that. And, Ads has been such a big part of this playing group too, bro. So it's going to be emotional. Potentially Jazzy's last time wearing the jumper as well. So, we're going to make a big solid dance of that game regardless. We'll go into the bye. Hope all the teams above get pumped by 50, and then who knows, mate. But, are we a sniff of an SJ Cup? Absolutely, mate. We're at rigs of it. There'll be something. And I can even give you a little bit more of a content piece, mate. For that game in particular, there will be something very special that we'll be doing to acknowledge the great man. Because regardless of what happens, at the back end of the season, the last couple of weeks, we don't want to miss a trick to celebrate one of our favourite sons. So whether it's the SJ Cup or something else, Roo, as I'm leaving you on a cliffhanger here, there'll be something for you to sink your teeth into and get around, bro.
I'll tell you what, I might have to weasel my way into that game somehow just quietly. I might have to talk to you the next few weeks.
It really sucks just having an offline chat and me texting you telling you exactly what it is. So let's wrap this up so we can really start to gossip. But no, mate, hey, if you're in Sydney, it'd be rude not to have you there, mate. Let's do it.
Beautiful, mate. And, mate, if I don't see you then, next time I see you, we'll be on Las Vegas Boulevard just quietly.
Yeah, well, you're the official CBA merchant for all things Warriors. I know you're big on Ali Lautoa. You love me some Leka Havasina. You've been a big Jakey Layden guy for a minute. There's potentially all three boys there, so it'd be rude not to have the shepherd there commanding our troops, mate. So, let's connect. I know there's a fan flight leaving from Sydney. I don't know if you've booked your travel yet, mate, but we'd love to get the Roo in a bucket hat and have him up there on the PA system, giving it a few up the wires and all that. Let's do it, mate. Let's link 100%. Roasties tried to hitch his wagon to us, but as soon as we started dropping games, he disappears, the bastard. So I know that you guys are pretty interchangeable physically, so let's just swap one out for the other. I'm a big Roo guy anyway. As far as I'm concerned, Roasty can go get stuff, mate. Let's get you in the building.
Mate, you won't be able to get rid of me soon. I cannot wait. Hey, bro, I really appreciate you jumping on, mate. I know it's getting to the end of the day over there in NZ, so I'll let you go, mate. But thank you very much. We always appreciate your time, and we'll see you in a few weeks in Cronulla, eh?
Yeah, let's do that, mate. Hey, thank you again, bro. And, like I said all the time, massive fan of everything you're doing in this space, and it doesn't go unnoticed at Club Band, bro. We absolutely love what the Roo's about, and it's not just me and Luke Metcalf singing your praises, mate. You're club-wide, mate. You're well known and well recognised. So, big fans, Roo. Thanks for the time, brother.
Thanks, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, my man. Catch you. Bye.
How good. Jacko there coming live to us from New Zealand, obviously part of the New Zealand Warriors Social team, and just talking about SJ, honestly, it took the words out of my mouth, realistically. He has just been an incredible player for so long who means so much to our game, in such an influential character and a player that will never be forgotten. I'll tell you what, I just had a vision when Jackson was talking then about the idea of SJ in a polo on the sideline. Can you imagine the day when we get SJ and Stacey Jones standing next to each other in a polo with a clipboard in their hand? Just unreal scenes. And I cannot wait to see who the next guy to come out is. Stacey, SJ, there will be another one to come in the future, and I cannot wait to see who it is. Super exciting. He's left a fantastic legacy in our game, Shaun Johnson, as a player. He has just been so entertaining for so long. But as Jackson sort of pointed out there, just as a bloke and the way he's carried himself throughout his entire career, he has just been a fantastic role model and a fantastic person to have in our game. So shout out to Shaun Johnson, an incredible career. We want to wish him all the very best in retirement, and hopefully hangs around rugby league and we see a little bit more of him. I was just having a look on one of their social media posts before, just the amount of players and clubs and everything that have commented on that post, and, you know, all the franchises from the Super Rugby over there, just incredible stuff. I think it was the Blues that said ankles can finally rest now, which I just thought was the absolute best one ever. And I'm sure that at the end of SJ's career, when they put together that highlight package, there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be filthy there on it, but what a privilege and an honour at the same time to get your ankles broken by the greatest, Shaun Johnson. An incredible career. Congratulations to him. Guys, today's episode brought to you by Neds. Jump onto the Neds app and have a look at our bets each and every week and follow along with them as they play out each week. Make sure you are gambling responsibly as always, and we'll see you next time here on the Rugby League Guru Podcast.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website